Alright everybody, welcome back to our next video on our series of how to go from zero to hero in Cadence development. Boom, I love saying that phrase. And in this video we're going to be talking about time in Cadence. So I've gotten a lot of questions about how do you measure time. I actually haven't gotten a lot of questions about it, but I like saying that because it makes me seem like I'm wanted and popular. But anyway, um, so people want to know how to measure time in Cadence, right? How do I know that it's been a minute since X has happened? Or if I have a marketplace, how do I know that it's been 20 minutes since the auction has been live? So I'm going to be showing you how to somewhat measure time in Cadence. So I'm on the Flow view source right now. So the Flow view source is basically a testnet environment. The reason we can't do this on the Flow playground, we usually do it, like I usually do all my coding on the Flow playground. The reason we can't do it here is because the Flow playground runs on a local emulator, and time doesn't exist on a local emulator, so we can't actually use it. And the reason time doesn't exist is because the way that we measure time in Cadence is using the current block timestamp. So if you don't know what a block is essentially a bundle of transactions that gets sent to the blockchain to actually update the blockchain. So if you think about it, like, you know, if I have a contract and there's a state in it, X, and X is 5, and I want to change 5 to 6, I run a transaction to change the state of X. That transaction gets put in a bundle or like a package with a bunch of other transactions that other people are running, and it gets sent to the blockchain as a block. And so in order to measure time in Cadence, we use the block timestamp. So what's the time that that block is actually being sent to the blockchain? And so that the blocks don't exist in a local emulator environment because it's not actually impacting anything. So we have to use testnet. So if you haven't used the view source before, I've used this a bunch in my previous videos, but essentially you just go to flow-view-source.com/testnet/account and then /any address name. So I know this is my local address, this is my contract, and whatever. So let's go ahead and test some Cadence code. So I'm going to say public contract test contract. Actually, let's name it time contract, right? Because we're dealing with time, and let's open up these brackets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a variable called public let last called. Actually, let's name this public let initialized or let's call it deployed time. So there we go. So deployed time. And time in Cadence is always represented as a UFIX64. So it's an unsigned fixed 64-bit number. Wow, I sound smart. So that's going to be that. And then when we initialize this contract, so the init function, in here, we're going to say self.deployed time equals get current block. This is a function that is built into the Cadence language, so you can always do get current block dot timestamp. Oh my god, I can't spell. Oh my god. So this is going to be the time of the current block. So if you think about it, when this contract gets deployed to the blockchain, it's going to be sent as a transaction, right? Deploying is really just a transaction on the blockchain. And so it's going to set this variable equal to the time of the block that's actually deploying this contract. So we can do that. And then let's also add another function, public function bin 30 seconds. And this is going to return a Boolean. And this is going to say if we call this, when we call this, it's going to return true if it's been 30 seconds since deployed time. So this is just for testing purposes, right? So we're going to say if, so we're going to say return get current block dot timestamp is greater than self, let's put it in parentheses actually, self dot deployed time plus 30.0. So this is going to say, and it's greater than or equal to, I guess we'll say, is going to return true if the current timestamp that we're calling this with is greater than or equal to self.deployed time plus 30 seconds. So because it's a UFIX64 and it's represented, I forget what it's represented in as, but basically, you know, when you measure 30 seconds, you do 30. If you wanted to measure 30 minutes, you would do 30 times 60, right? Because there's 60 seconds in a minute, right? So so that's what you would do. And if you wanted to then measure 30 days, well, how many no if you wanted to measure out 30 hours, well, how many minutes is in an hour? 60 minutes. So you would times it by another 60 if you wanted 30 minutes, right? You get the point. but we're going to do 30 seconds, okay? So we're going to deploy this contract, and we're going to see what happens here. So we're going to deploy it with our Blockdo account. Hopefully everything works. I really hope it all goes through. And let's prepare to make sure that this actually works. So let's take our address here, and I'm going to run a script that says import time contract from that address I just deployed it to, and say public function main, and we're going to return a boolean, and we're going to say return time contract dot bin 30 seconds. Bam. And we're going to run the script in a terminal. I'm just going to say flow scripts execute main.cdc, and it's going to say I have to say network equals testnet, and it's going to say true because it's been 30 seconds since we deployed this contract. So that's pretty much all there is to it. And if you wanted to, keep track of things like a marketplace where you want your, you want your auction to end after like 15 minutes or something, well, you could just represent that here, right? Because 15 minutes is 60 seconds. And because there's 60 seconds in a minute, and then you could just multiply that by 15, and then this would be 15 minutes. And so you could have some variable that says like auction initialized. You could set it to a certain number, and then you could say like, hey, is the current timestamp greater than self dot auction initialized plus the 15 minutes. So that's how you handle time in Cadence. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.